All right, so today I'm with my friend and client, Vinitha, and we recently got her a great co-ownership deal with actually another couple. And I thought it was really interesting, so I wanted to basically interview you and talk about that. So good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Elbow bump. So, let's talk about it. And actually, this isn't our first property together, is it, Vinitha?
No, it's not. So our first property was out in Hamilton. It was when I was first looking for a property and wasn't quite in the budget for Toronto. So you opened my eyes up to other areas, and I was initially going to move to Hamilton, but life circumstances changed. But luckily, we thought a little bit ahead and made sure the cash worked out whether I was living there or not.
Cash flow is key. So that project had some challenges too. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So when we first got in, things looked really good, and there was a bit of a water leak issue, which then led to looking at the floors. And once we took up the floors, we realized there was actually no concrete under the floors. There was just dirt.
Dirt floors.
Yeah. So
not a recommended construction strategy.
Exactly. So what I did was come to you, and thankfully you and your team really helped me find some contractors out in Hamilton, and we got it done for a really reasonable rate.
A scarily reasonable rate. Yeah. I can't believe you redid the whole place for that price.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing. And so now, that property's appreciated in value, and now you've taken some of that equity to do this project, right?
Yeah, so it's been a couple of years since I got into that property, and so one of the ways that you actually opened my eyes to using that property is to use that equity towards whatever my next project was going to be, whether it was this current project or whatever I decided was the best next step for me.
So then the problem was Vinitha wanted to get a toehold into the Toronto real estate market, which is expensive. And so, let's talk a little bit about that.
So now that I was in Toronto full time, I wanted to get into this market again. And again, I was in the same predicament where the budget just wasn't lining up with what I wanted. And we started talking about looking at condos a little bit outside of the city, a little bit older buildings. So we got a little bit more space, but it just wasn't jiving with my overall goals for the long term.
Paul.
Pretty much. And you could take it. So.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, okay. So then what happened?
And then you brought over the idea of a co-ownership agreement, which I'd never really thought about. I'd never really looked into. So I'd been to actually your event that talked about co-ownership, and that opened my eyes. I did some of my own research, and then I came back to you just letting you know that I was open to it, and we kept looking at things for myself, but also you knew I was open to the idea of co-ownership.
Yeah. And so I actually paired Vinitha up with a couple that I was already working with, Maxine and Terry, and they wanted to invest in a property. But we kept getting priced out of the properties where they wanted. They wanted to be closer to the city, and their budget kept pushing them up a little north, and they just weren't excited about it. So when I mentioned to them, hey, well maybe you could partner up with someone else, and then you can get into the areas you want. And so that kind of worked out. And maybe just talk about the first time you talked to them. How did that roll?
So the first time I met Terry and Maxine was actually through the phone, and I got a really good vibe from them. We talked about what we were looking for, the areas we wanted to look into, and it all just seemed to work really well together, and so we decided to move forward.
Okay, so co-ownership is actually a great way to get started on the property ladder, especially on that first rung. Sometimes people like yourself want to get into this market and they just can't get into the market. So it's a great way to enter the market, or even as an investment potential. And actually, you don't even have to be friends. I mean, I've sort of been thinking about it, and it might be easier if you weren't friends, actually, because then, there's none of that complication. And really the important point, and the important point you made was you just want to be aligned on goals. So, you and Maxine and Terry had the same goals for the property. So what I mean is, like, let's say Vinitha wanted to buy a place and keep it and hold it forever, and Maxine and Terry just wanted to hold it for 3 to 5 years, sell it, and then use that equity to do something else. That wouldn't really match up. But in this case, you guys were fairly well matched. Mm-hmm. So one of the keys, actually, is you have to have a great lawyer, because the lawyer will actually help you draft the co-ownership agreement. And so in this case, we had a great lawyer. And so to do a deal like this, you're actually also going to need a great mortgage broker. And I sat down with Ruth, and we talked about this very deal. So one of the things is I run investor seminars, and I actually put one person's going to live there and one person was going to invest. But, I often put two parties that actually don't know each other together, which is a little bit crazy. And maybe you could just talk about the mortgage side of that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So we had basically two parties, I guess, that met at your investor summit. And bringing them together, we've got two completely different portfolios. So, there's privacy issues. We don't want to mix clients' information together. We have a lot of moving parts. And when you work with us, we will definitely lay out the guidelines of how you're going to get from point A to point Z to be able to get the deal done at the end of the day.
So, a good question, Vinitha, is how did this all make you feel? It's a big change, right?
Mm-hmm. It's a big project. It's a new project. Honestly, it felt really good, but also a little scary because it's a new thing that I had never done before, even though I did have my own first property going on. But I was working with someone that I trusted, you and your team.
Thanks.
So I just kind of asked questions as I went along, made sure I knew what was going on, and trusted the process.
And you crushed it a little bit, I have to say.
A little bit.
It's not easy, right? Like, it's a big thing, and you're trusting other people, and, you're getting into a bigger property. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, overall, it was just something I knew I wanted to do, and it's a risk that I was willing to take to accomplish what I wanted to accomplish.
Nice. So let's just kind of quickly touch on the property. Mm-hmm. So tell us about it. How do you like it?
Well, so far so good. It's still pretty new. So it's a triplex. It is in the Dovercourt and Davenport area. So
Dovercourt, Emerson, I believe it's.
Emerson?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's in the Dovercourt, Emerson area, and there's a lot of new things coming up. It has really cool breweries and pizza places. So I'm still kind of exploring the neighborhood, seeing what's out there, seeing what I can take advantage of. And currently I'm living in the basement, and we're looking at renting out the other 2 units.
And we're almost got them rented.
Yeah, exactly. We have the top unit just about to be rented, just waiting on some documents, and then we have a bunch of showings for the main unit as well.
Yes. And who helped you with that?
You, my good sir.
Well, and that's part of kind of the value we bring is we don't just like close a property and walk away. We close the property, we help you, you're doing some minor renos, you're doing some minor repairs, helped you find those contractors.
Yeah.
And then we help you, get the tenants as well.
Yeah, exactly. Just going through all the little things that needed to be done, seeing what was worth doing now versus what could be put off for a month or 2 while everyone gets settled in.
So overall, what do you think?
I think this turned out to be a great investment for me, but also for Maxine and Terry as well. So all co-owners are happy here.
Crushing it. So I guess the real question is, how did you like working with Think Real Estate?
I mean, I enjoyed the process from the beginning because we already had a working relationship and friendship. So there was some initial trust going in there, but I also got to work with Jordan, as well as the contractors you put us in contact with. Right from the beginning, we looked at what my budget alone was capable of, when we realized it wasn't really in line with my goals. You guys really came together to help me find a creative solution and accomplish the goal versus...
We were listening to what you were saying.
Yeah.
No condos in the outskirts, Paul Haley.
Exactly. I really did not want a condo, and so we found a way to accomplish that. Overall, it was a great investment for me. It was a great investment for Maxine and Terry, and it really just came down to working with a trusted team.
Thanks, Vinitha.
You're welcome, Paul.
Yeah. And the trust goes both ways, right?
Yeah.
It's client and us, and it's everybody working together, as you said, a trusted team. So I hope you found that hugely helpful. If you like this video, please leave a comment below and please like it, hit the like button. Please smash that subscribe button so you'll get updated when we post new content every single week. And there's also a great video where we do the home inspection for this property, so you want to check that out in one of these corners. I don't know where that goes. And thank you so much, Vinitha, for being here and telling us about this amazing property. And if you have any questions about co-ownership, shoot me an email, paul@paulhaley.ca. Talk soon. Okay, do the thumbs up. Think real estate. Jared, you need to buy a new condo.
Found what we now bought, and now I forgot the other thing. Damn it.
Now I forgot the other thing.